What if getting paralyzed was the biggest opportunity for me to prove to people what's possible? Getting paralyzed is the biggest opportunity for me to prove to people what's possible. Man, I was in tears watching these transformations yesterday in Somerville. I keep on saying Somerville because my studio's in Somerville, but the Summer Shredding Championships. You know, I'm a bodybuilder, still active, competitive bodybuilder. Just competed last year. So bodybuilding's always got, you know, I love bodybuilding, the sport of competitive bodybuilding. Because you can be a competitor without being competitive. That's a whole different topic. But what's cool about the Summer Shredding Championships and what it's become is the transformation category. I mean, it's the worst to judge, if I'm being honest, because how do you compare somebody's traumatic experience, you know, and losing 250 pounds or losing 100 pounds because they hit rock bottom? It's hard to judge that and award somebody, you know, a title, really. It's hard, it's difficult, and it's, you know, I don't like that part of it because really I'm not one for participation. I'm a little bit, you know, emotionally drained and physically exhausted from the weekend. But how do you compare? How do you compare that? It's like impossible to compare somebody's story of, you know, trials and tribulations, and that's what we're doing. Because you can lose 100 pounds. And, you know, if you're 22, let's just say you're 22 and you're overweight and you hit rock bottom and you realize you wanted to get in shape and you lost the weight and you had some, you know, maybe your grandmother died or like there's stuff that's, I don't want to say that it's less impactful to your success, but, you know, some of these stories were, you know, my mom killed my dad. I mean, like, how do you overcome that? And that's why they, you know, became addicted to food, or that's why they, you know, wanted to commit suicide, or that's why they became a drug addict, or they ended up in jail. Like, all these stories were just, it's impossible to judge, really, I feel. With that said, I was inspired by some of these people and their messages, because look, I've been a bodybuilder now for, you know, 30 years, right? So yes, I've had loss in my life. I've had traumatic stuff happen to me. You know, my dad passed unexpectedly. I had, you know, my wife and I, Karen, had, you know, 4 miscarriages trying to, you know, conceive and start a family. All traumatic, and they've all affected me. I'm still able to, I've been an athlete my whole life, so for me to transform my body is not that challenging, if I'm being completely honest with you. You know, of course I'm challenged by it, but I've been doing it so long that it really doesn't require, I don't know how to say this, but I know what to do. I do it. I get my shit done. I still train hard. I still work. But, you know, these transformation stories were powerful. I was crying. I'm a lot of the times. I was just, you know, filled up with tears because their stories were so compelling and what they were able to overcome. I captured a few of the messages, and I'm gonna share them because I feel like we can all benefit from hearing these stories, especially somebody who's overcome the traumatic experience, like near death, actually dying, you know, having a baby, dying on the delivery table, coming back to life, and, you know, losing 200 pounds. Like, it's powerful. It's mental fortitude. You know, the emotional growth that you experience is immeasurable. So my point is that I started this whole video with You know, this gentleman became paralyzed. I believe it was a car accident, chest down, and from that experience became overweight, like unhealthy, morbidly obese, in a wheelchair, and transformed his body, and now he's on stage looking better than most people who have the total capability of walking, fully functioning bodies, and he was able to overcome more because of that adversity. I found that super powerful and compelling. Like, think about that. What if, here's what he said, what if becoming paralyzed was the best and biggest opportunity? Don't quote me exactly, but what if that was the biggest opportunity for me to prove and show people what's possible? How powerful is that? Think about that. When you're bitching and moaning about, like, sitting in traffic and you're late for a meeting, or, you know, I don't know. I don't even know what nothing is really popping in my head, but I just hear, you know, bullshit excuses. And again, when you're comparing it to that, it's like that's a bullshit excuse. In the moment, you're like, this is the worst thing, and you're frustrated and you're going through it. And again, we all have our levels of struggles, and everybody has a story. Everybody has a battle that they're fighting that we know nothing about. So I just wanted to, talk about that and, put shit in perspective when you're going through stuff. And I know going through stuff is, in the moment, feels overwhelming. It could. But when you hear some of these stories, it's like, I got no excuses. There's no reasons for me right now not to do the things I want to do, I need to do to get to where I want to be. Or, like I was talking earlier in my podcast last week about getting to the end of your life and looking back and being like, damn, I let this bullshit get in the way, and I didn't fulfill my dreams or fulfill my happiness because I was bitching and moaning about small little things. I mean, it's a good reality check. It was for me with this weekend, and I pull from that when I'm going through stuff. I think about that. That's why I want to constantly keep reminding myself and sharing it with you guys, because like it's a project, and I talk about Project My Life, and that's it's never ending. You're always working on it. But some of these stories were super inspiring, man. I just want to give you guys a little encouragement to just believe in yourself, trust the process, practice patience, and go do shit, man. I mean, stop living, in fear. Stop living in feeling inadequate, or I don't know. You are enough, and it's kind of like woo-woo-y, kind of like, do a reality check though. Maybe you're not doing enough. You are enough, but maybe you're not doing enough. Maybe you could be doing more. So when you hear somebody who's been paralyzed from the chest down lose, 100+ pounds and share positive words like, what if being paralyzed wasn't the worst thing that happened to me? What if it was the best thing that happened to me? Think about that for a minute. I don't know. I'm out. I'm gonna go do the judges Q&A feedback over at Alpha Land, and I'll have some more footage to share, but just wanted to drop you with that, guys, first. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Peace.